Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show is about to begin.
Truth, lies, shenanigans. 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 Tune in to TLS. Yeah, tune in to TLS. It's the TLS show. Coming to you live from the TLS show.
Hey, welcome to Truth, Lies, Shenanigans podcast. Social commentary, hot topics, amazing guests with a ton of fun and shenanigans along the way. This week, many of our listeners are familiar with the shocking news that former guest on this podcast, Mayor Patrick Willian, was arrested and charged with child pornography. His sudden resignation left a void in the city, College Park, Maryland. And in our spotlight today, we're talking to the person who replaced him as mayor. Mayor Pro Tem Denise Mitchell joins us today to tell us her plans as she's running to be the official mayor in the May 6th special election. Plus, we're talking about a Planned Parenthood exec committing suicide after a botched child pornography raid. Then Canada is dealing with some workers on strike. And we'll discuss Elon Musk's Starship blowing up. You can watch us live on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and Twitch TV. We'll be checking your comments on YouTube and Facebook. Just go to @TLSLiveShow or TLSShow.com. Those are the best places to watch if you want to be part of the conversation. As always, I've got to start things off by introducing you to my co-hosts. First up today, we have our nature lover, gamer, rock star coming to you from Ontario, Canada, Robbie.
I love those intros, buddy. I always do. But happy Earth Day weekend, everyone. Earth Day was officially yesterday, but hey, I hope you
Happy
did
Earth.
something green this weekend. Yeah. It's been kind of a dreary week here in Sudbury. Spring showers, cool temperatures are in the air. But I did attend a celebration of life for a friend yesterday, and it was a lovely, intimate gathering, cool, rainy day. And on my way out, another friend of mine looked at me while shaking her head and just went, nice weather for Charlie's funeral. And I just kind of went, you know what? It's a celebration of life, and the rain is a bringer of life. We need it. To which she just kind of turned around and went, you're right, Rob. So I encourage everyone this week to help someone reframe an undesirable situation into a positive thing.
I like that one.
We love it.
I like that.
Yeah.
All right.
Inspiring change.
And apologies about your friend. Condolences as well.
Oh, yeah. He passed several months ago, but this was when they chose to have the celebration.
Okay.
Yeah. It was really tastefully done.
All right. Well done. All right. Next up, we have our college student model, business owner, streaming to you from Atlanta, Georgia, Gianni Storm.
Hello, everybody. I miss you guys. This week has been very interesting. It's been an interesting week. I've kind of been helping my friend. She's actually had surgery last week. It's plastic surgery. So I've been kind of helping her get through it mentally, because I think when she booked the appointment, she didn't expect. Okay, I'm just gonna tell you guys. She got her breast done.
That's what I was going. Because I was going to ask. You might as well just tell us, because I was definitely going to ask.
Yeah. And so she's not really happy with the results. So I just, for anybody, word of advice, if you are going to do something that alters your body, your face, your hair, just make sure you like it. But she might grow into them, so to speak, because when you first get your hair done, you might not like it at first, but then you wear the
These
style.
aren't bangs, Johnny. These aren't bangs. I'm
just going to grow into her bad breast. Is that what you just said?
Right. I mean, if she's got a wall-eyed situation going on here, this is.
It's been a fun week with her. But other than that, I've been decorating my apartment. You guys, I know I moved in here a little while ago. So I've been getting to that. It's been humble. It's been a fun, humble, interesting week.
Cool. All right.
Nice.
That's good stuff, Gianni. is funny. By the way,
Support your
Dr. Tayari Kwanda says, "Hey guys, what's up?"
Oh, hey.
All right, my name is
Okay.
Neo Nix, for those that don't know. So, guys, word is Russia's President Vladimir Putin has cancer and had a bit of a breakdown last week. He was found on the floor crying hysterically, dressed in nothing but a wet t-shirt, black sock, and a torn diaper. And a lot of news outlets have been making fun of Putin. So, I kind of felt a little bad for him. I don't know why, but I felt bad for him. So I was curious if y'all think it's okay to be making fun of a patient dealing with cancer, even if it's someone like Putin who's directly responsible for well over like 250,000 deaths. But I'm curious, is it okay? I want to know.
No,
I had
don't
to
think it's okay.
practice some. Go ahead, Johnny.
Yeah, because I'm interested to see what Rob has to say. I don't think it's okay though. I think that no matter what situation you're in, you don't break character. Like you don't like break what's morally right to you. No matter if the person is a world domination leader, killer. Like it doesn't matter. Like how you feel about people and humanity should kind of stay the same. But
That's deep.
I believe in karma. So maybe that
Haha.
won't judge him on it. But yeah.
That's deep. That was deep,
Yeah.
Johnny, because that's what I was struggling with. But Robbie, what are you saying?
Yeah, well, that's it. I had to exercise some introspection on this one because you know how I am. I do have a dank sense of humor. But even people who have committed heinous acts or made questionable decisions in the past are still human beings who are worthy of basic dignity and respect.
But
That being said, I mean,
250,000 people are dead.
exactly. Like that being said, Putin is a czarist warmonger. I mean, he's killed more than his fair share, either through orders or his direct hands. He was a skilled KGB agent for several years.
So it could have been millions of
I'm
people.
not wishing him well. I'm not wishing him a speedy recovery.
But you're not going to make fun of
humanity is sometimes a better place when we lose certain individuals.
All right.
It's
That's about as funny as I'm going to get about it.
All right. All right, Johnny, you sold me. You sold me, Johnny, though, right? Because you're right. It's about your own character. It's not even about the other person. It's about your own character. And so I'm sticking with. I agree with Gianni. So I was a little torn. So I appreciate that, Gianni. I appreciate that. That was a really good thought.
We need humanity. We need a little bit. We're all zombies, kind of, to the media now. We're not.
Dr. Kwanda says,
Yes, we
never
are.
stick to the issues. He says, stick to the issues. All right. Let's get into our show. As mentioned at the top of the show, many of our listeners are familiar with former Mayor Patrick Willian. He was a frequent guest on this podcast. He was arrested a few weeks ago, and now he has 80 counts of child pornography. Well, today we're talking to the person who immediately stepped in to take on the challenge of healing the city, Mayor Pro Tem Denise Mitchell. Hi, Denise. How are you? Mayor Denise Mitchell. I've got to say it officially.
Well, good evening, all. Thank you for inviting me. I'm doing well for Sunday evening. Doing
Awesome.
well.
Awesome. I know you were busy knocking on doors all day, so I know you're probably tired.
You got that right.
Well, thank you for joining us. We do appreciate
Thank you for being here with us.
All right, so to
Thank
introduce
you.
everyone to Denise, she's been on the College Park, Maryland City Council since 2009, serving for 6 years as Mayor Pro Tem. After taking a term off from the council, she rejoined in 2017 and is now the acting mayor. Outside of College Park, she has various leadership roles, including president of the Maryland Municipal League, board member for the National League of Cities, a member of the board of directors for the Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments, and as vice chair for the College Park City University Partnership Education Committee. She's lived in College Park Woods community for over 45 years and has worked in early childhood education for about 30 years and now works for Prince George's County government. Thank you so much for joining us. Quite a resume.
Thank you. Thank you.
Quite
Quite
a
a
resume.
Oh,
resume.
thank you. Worked hard for all of that.
Love it.
Yeah.
All right. So the first question I have to ask, same question we ask all our first time guests. What is the one thing that our audience can't find right now on Google about you?
That I am a menace. I grew up as Dennis the Menace. I was the only child, and I made up for that in several different ways. So you will not find out anything about that about me.
She's a menace.
A menace. My parents will tell you she cut up.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Hey, sometimes it's good to be a menace, a menace to society. You can be a positive menace for society, you know.
I
You have to
tried, but
understand.
growing up,
You have to
I was,
understand the other side of
pushing.
that issue.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Correct. But as an only child, I was pushing the envelope sometimes.
Hey, do what you gotta do.
She's
Oh, yeah.
precocious.
All right.
Yeah, my dad wouldn't have said that.
He wouldn't have called you precocious. All right.
Nice.
All right. So I've got to start out our questioning with elephant in the room, right? Mayor
Yes.
Patrick Williams' arrest.
Mhm.
You know, again, as one of our frequent guests, we were shocked by the arrest. I mean, we were just looking at news reports like, what? So I know you've actually run against Patrick in the past, and you've worked with him for many years as a council member. So what was the first thing that went through your mind, and how did you feel when it happened?
Oh, Neil, the first thing I was in shock. I was in total shock. I'll even tell people that I started crying because
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I broke down and cried because this young man had a promising future
He
in
really did.
politics.
Yeah.
And I knew we talked many times about his future interest. And so to receive the call that this was going on, it was just devastating to me. Words couldn't even express. That's why I said I just broke down and cried because I could not believe what was happening, and so it's a lot to still to take on and to think about, especially as you say, trying to move the city forward because you have to focus on the residents and trying to help them to heal during this time.
Yeah, and you know, it sounds like you're like me, where I considered him a friend. He lived right down a couple of blocks from me, and every time I was down by the, every time he had some type of event, I'd be over there and hang out. And
Right.
we had him on the podcast, and so it was shocking. I mean, I was just like, it's just is this the same guy? I was just and I'm really I really have a soft spot for children and children's issues, and especially abuse. And I just, I couldn't just reconcile that with the person I had met.
I know. Again, being 35 years as an early childhood administrator, you try to, sometimes you think you know the signs or that it show you that someone's going through something. Never
Never
thought
guessed.
that in
Totally.
a million years. And the first couple of days was just trying to process it, and then listening to residents, and at the same time having to work with some principals at schools. Because how do they talk to their children about this man who was coming into their schools and talking about being a mayor and local government? That was a lot to take on, a lot to process, and it still is, but it's just words couldn't even put together what I was feeling the first couple of days, from range of emotions of crying, angry, distraught, just figuring out how I have to compose myself to be the leader and move the city forward, and I had to decompartmentalize my emotions to now focusing and trying to make sure the day-to-day operations working in tandem with the city council and the city manager, assistant city manager, making sure that they are okay as well.
That's
And
a good point.
that was important because a lot of them knew him personally as well. So making sure they were okay, but making sure also that the services were still being rendered to our residents here in College Park.
Yeah. Now, as someone who served as mayor pro tem and now you're running for mayor. How do you address those issues and ensure like the citizens of College Park have confidence and trust in their elected officials if you're elected mayor?
So I'll tell you a little bit of history about myself personally. I am a granddaughter of a preacher. I'm a preacher's child's granddaughter, and my dad was a veteran. So integrity and accountability is paramount in my family. So serving as the mayor pro tem, and I was honored that Patrick selected me, helped me to mold my leadership skills from working as an administrator as well as working in the several leadership positions that I have to be ready for this time such as this. So
I didn't actually
being put
realize
in the
that.
hat on,
I didn't realize he selected you.
Oh, nice.
yes,
Yeah.
Oh,
he's selected, and then the council votes on the selection. So
I didn't realize
yes,
that. Okay,
yes. So it was so people realized that yes, we ran against each other in 2015.
right.
But coming back in 2017, we formed a very formidable relationship as far as professionally, and we got to know each other personally. And so um, I asked for the consideration, and I know there's others that asked as well, but he selected me to be his mayor pro tem.
Wow.
And he knew what I could bring to the table as far as leadership skills, as far as like again, as you announced, you were doing my introduction, serve on the COG board of directors, having the opportunity to network with mayors and other county leaders across the DMV area, as well as currently serving as the president of the Maryland Municipal League, 157 towns and cities in the state of Maryland. So frequently I have to go down to Annapolis to testify on various bills that impact local government. So those opportunities prepare me for such a time as this.
Wonderful.
That's incredible. So, what else would you say sets you apart from other candidates running for mayor? And how do your experiences and leadership roles in various organizations and committees make you the best person for the job?
Yeah, because we had Fazul Kabir on here, and we've had
Oh,
Kate Kennedy on here, and they shared their
Yeah.
plans, like Rod B. But I also want to know where you align as well. I want to know where you're different and you align.
well,
Yeah.
I would say I am a collaborator.
Okay.
I am a person who can talk to people from all, I'll talk to people. I sit down with people to talk to them about where their concerns are. And I try to, and I use this word, and my colleagues will laugh, I try to strike a balance, especially on issues that impact our residents. I feel that it's important to understand that the role of the mayor is a person who's a facilitator, the person who brings people together. But as you bring people together, you have to give them the tools and knowledge in order to make informed decisions. And part of that is making sure that they are out in their communities and talking to their residents about things that we're going to be talking about in our council meetings. So I see myself as a collaborator. I see myself as a person who really tries to impart wisdom. I try to be the role model for others because, again, I go back to being an early childhood, being a director for daycare. Some days you didn't have the cook, you didn't have the teacher, so I had to go in and be the cook, the bus driver, the teacher, and all that,
Everything.
and my everything.
Mm.
And my staff truly appreciated me for showing that I can do the work that they do, and they always were able to follow me. So those are the things that I will bring to the table. And I talk about my tagline: being a mobile mayor, taking the office of the mayor out of City Hall and coming into the community. It is important right now that residents
Yeah.
know that the person that's going to be your next mayor is a person who's trustworthy, who is going to sit there and seek solutions to your concerns. I might not have all the answers. I will tell you upfront if I don't, but I will be out there in the community. And if we make a mistake, I'll be the first one to say that we did wrong and I apologize, and we need to have your acceptance
Accountability.
and let's move accountability to move forward.
I like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Miss Denise, your bio
Oh,
mentioned
no,
that you
Miss
had.
Denise, just say Denise. No, Miss Denise, just say Denise. I'm not that old yet. I'm not going to claim the Miss part yet.
Come on, Miss
Okay.
Johnny. We can do
You're
better.
doing
Miss
good.
Johnny.
Just being polite. No, your
I
bio.
appreciate
Your
it.
bio. Your bio mentioned you had three main drives that you look forward to as mayor. And one of them you mentioned was supporting the community by unifying, by being one college park, so to speak. So I just wanted to know, what are some ways, other than, like you mentioned, collaborating, what are some ways or ideas that you have to unify College Park?
Mm.
So go back to, and I ran that same tagline in 2015. Um, having coffee with the mayor, having office hours with the mayor,
Mm.
having actual social gatherings with the mayor and the council. People need to
Nice.
see, and it's ironic when knocking on doors, some people still don't know who their council member is.
Oh,
And
wow.
that's concerning to
That
me.
would be
That's a
concerning.
real big concern because this is the person that's acting on your behalf to make informed decisions. So that means we are not doing our job. And that means we really have to start the engagement all over again and get really into the heart of the community. And that is
Yes.
just being out there more in the community. And that was one of the reasons why, as the council, we discussed the changing of our meetings because we have meetings every Tuesday of the
Mm-hmm.
month
Yep.
and we wanted to decrease the number of times that we meet. So I was a firm believer of having it only twice a month and letting the other 2 months where we can be out in the community with staff. That's paramount. It's paramount right now, and too much in many areas and local government around the United States. The same issues are cropping up in regards to residents are having, in some instance, issues of trust, lack of transparency of their local elected officials. And I'm a firm believer that if you keep the community engaged, then your issues about transparency and accountability and integrity will go away.
So you're
Yeah.
suggesting fewer. You're suggesting fewer council member meetings.
Council meetings, yes,
Okay,
Yeah.
because
twice a month.
right now it's weekly, right? And you're trying to
It's
go down.
weekly. I'm trying to go down because you have to know. I am a firm believer, and when I first ran in 2009, I'll tell you that I was summoned to the late Anna Owens' house. She has been the only female mayor that served in College Park.
Mm.
I thought I was going to only be there for half an hour. I sat there for 3.5 hours.
Mm.
And she gave me some very key jewels and nuggets. And one of them was you have to know the pulse of your community in order to enact proper legislation. If you do not know, how can you serve as a council member? And most importantly, how can you serve as a mayor if you don't know the pulse of your community? So that's why I would
Right.
like us to go to 2 meetings and that the other 2 meetings be where we're out doing town halls, listening sessions, talking about our strategic plan, talking about our budget, talking about the money that we receive from the government in the form of ARPA. How are we utilizing that? That's very important.
I like
That's
that plan.
wonderful. Speaking of community engagement and that it's Earth Day weekend, did you participate in any Earth Day activities this
Oh,
weekend?
good question.
Well, I'll be candid with you. No, I did not. I did not. I was door knocking with the residents, and I was that part of my Earth Day. If I can slant it a little bit, looking at potholes and driveways.
But no, one of the main issues people are facing in our nation in general is finding affordable housing. I'm sure
Yes.
that College Park
Yeah.
has their own degree of that issue as
We
well.
do.
How do you plan to maybe address that issue, or if you have any plans on addressing the affordable housing and renting issue?
No, thank you for that question. And that's one of my tenets as well in regards to affordable housing. Back in the late, I should say early 80s, the former mayor Joe Page created the City College Park University Partnership, which part of that was the Housing Task Force. And at that time, its sole intention was to build housing in order for students to come out the community and back on campus. With that being said, we have enough student housing. We don't have housing which is affordable for students, and we don't have a housing which is affordable for first time home buyers as well as for seniors who want to downsize. So what I would like to look at is having a mixed use type of approach and looking to our partners in accounting as well as other external stakeholders to talk about the opportunities that we can use around the city to actually impart affordable housing in down in District 3. There's some in District 1, but also in alignment with, we could have the Purple Line coming up. So that will be a key opportunity for us to look at trying to figure out ways to make that work.
For Gianni and Robbie, you may not know what the Purple Line is. Basically, we have a metro system, and so this is a particular line that's coming through College Park, and they're
Oh,
working
okay.
on building it right now.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
okay.
And
Oh.
also definitely if we win the bid for the FBI building
Mm.
to come to Greenbelt, that will
That'd be
be another
fantastic.
key factor for us to look at trying to do affordable housing. And I would like to look at our partners in the Virginia area who are already doing some best practices with Amazon, and hopefully we can bring that to the table here in College Park and have some robust discussions regarding that.
Yeah.
That's
So
amazing.
I wanted to ask a question about the University of Maryland. So one of the things, and I've talked to your opponents about, was one of the things that I didn't like about Patrick's terms was not that there wasn't, I appreciated the growth in the city,
Right.
but I felt like all of the growth was happening around the the university. And I'm curious how much effort you'll put into, uh, getting some more growth and more development in the communities, in the neighborhoods, as opposed to. And I do hope that we continue the partnership with University of Maryland, but I'd really like to see more development in the communities. But there was one other question that occurred to me as we were talking was, where does the tax base come from for College Park? And how much of it comes from students and the university? How much of that tax base comes from the students' university versus the people in the neighborhoods and communities?
Well, to answer your first question in
Okay.
regards to the partnership with University of Maryland, yes, it has always been a contentious point of view by some, because university for many years would not even engage the city at all for any type of discussions regards to development, economic development. Where I see us now moving forward, since we do have a new president, Dr. Pines,
Mm-hmm.
is having more robust discussions about what are the city's needs versus what are the university's needs. Now, let me be clear. University of Maryland is going to develop regardless if they have the
Of
city
course.
at the table or not. So let me be clear about that.
Yep.
What is key is having a mayor who can clearly define the needs of the city and able to stand in the trench to protect that and tell the University of Maryland that we need X, Y, and Z. We don't need you building, for instance, taking part of the golf course at University of Maryland, which impacts my area in District 4.
Mm-hmm.
Because that would really that would tear up the alignment of Metzrock Road. That will bring a hindrance to the residents in Crystal Springs. So you have to have a mayor that you can have nice conversations, but you can be firm about what your intentions are. And that needs to happen moving forward. And again, it has to happen in a collaborative spirit. We can agree to disagree, but I hope it won't be taken as that you're going to continue to do what you want to as the University of Maryland, without understanding that the city of College Park will insert themselves. And as the next mayor, I will insert myself at the table in order to make sure the message is given loud and clear.
Mm.
To the tax base, you have the residents and the commercial pay the same tax base.
Okay.
There's the current conversation is currently coming up for our budget is trying to increase the commercial tax base,
Okay.
to make it more to bring additional revenue, and the residents don't have to take on the burden. Now the students are only here 9 months out of the
So
year,
you can't collect
so
taxes from them.
right, taxes. Well, it depends. I'm not gonna put my foot in the mouth and make an inaccurate statement, but they do produce to the tax base by going to the stores and living at the different dorms and housing. But the burden is on the residents,
Do we have
and
a
we have
sales
to look at.
tax?
We don't have really a sales tax. We just have a commercial tax base a tax that is
On the
shared.
on the larger businesses. Now,
Right.
I'm concerned about because I did hear it in your debate. I'm a little bit concerned about it affecting small businesses. Will you have provisions in
Mm-hmm.
there to make sure it doesn't affect small business? Because of course, as you know, my wife owns a small business here in College
Correct.
Park. Yeah.
Correct. So that's why if you saw our council session, everyone was in agreement with, and I said I still have a question mark because of small business owners. If we increase
I
the
remember
tax
that.
base of commercial, that means regardless if you're small business or large business, you all will be affected, and we can't phase it in. So my concern is let's have a conversation with the commercial entities first before we even try to adopt something such as this, because it's going to create a drastic change. We have not done this as long as I've been on the council, and
Mm-hmm.
even from previous council members. We have not done anything like this, increasing the tax base on commercial. And we talk about we want to bring in small business owners. That's one of my keys. I've had business roundtables in my district in the past 11 years, trying to help support our small businesses. I would like to see us do a SBE in within our economic development, bring in federal grants and training for small businesses. But if you're going to create, if you're saying that on one hand, and then on the other hand, you're talking about let's now increase the tax base on commercial entities, that doesn't seem that's striking a balance. That seems like it's really you're saying it, but you're not really willing to help the small business owners who are here, and that's a concern for me. So that's why I say I have a question mark on that. Until I have engagement with my small businesses, I need to understand how they will be impacted by it.
Yeah, I would hope that small businesses would not be impacted. Robbie, I wanted to give you the last question.
I really didn't have anything because the questions that I had prepared overlapped with all the
Everything.
great questions that were put out here. So no, you've absolutely covered the bases for me.
Did you have anything, Gianni?
Yeah, I kind of, with your, given your personality, you are very assertive, and I can tell that you are a leader. I can tell already. So I just wanted to know, and you have such extensive knowledge and experience. What inspired you to run for mayor? I know that you're kind of already in line for that, but what inspired you to do it in the first place?
So let me just say, being assertive has come over the years. Growing up, I was shy. I would cry in front of people, be nervous. Um,
Yeah.
I would say the desire to run for mayor. I've always had the desire when I came back on council in 2017. It was just the timing,
Okay.
and so since the opportunity came, I knew it was time to step out and present my skill set and leadership to say I am the one to move the city forward. So again, from 2017 to now, I have been afforded opportunities to serve in leadership roles, take on certain tasks, and accomplish them. And that has prepared me for what I'm about to embark on now.
Oh, I love that.
Amazing.
All right. Well, unfortunately, we are out of time. So, Denise, what
Problem.
message do you have for the residents of College Park and shoot with the world? We are a global podcast. So, you know, what final words do you have for everyone, and also let people know how they can support you?
Oh, definitely. Thank you again for having me this evening. I would say I'm Denise Mitchell, candidate for mayor. I am the mayor that's tested, have true leadership. In such a time as this, you need someone that's able to move the city forward. Experience does matter, and that's important for us to be collectively one College Park moving forward. If you would like to support me, please feel free to give me a call at 301 323 3658 or my website, forcp.com. And thank you again for having me tonight. I truly enjoyed myself.
All right, Denise.
Thank you,
So it's
Denise.
Mitchell4cp.com. Check it out. All right. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.
Nice.
Obviously,
Energy.
obviously, that was the wrong outro.
That was the game show outro.
Yeah, it was.
So much pop.
but it served the purpose. What a really great guest, right? Really great guest.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
So it's very refreshing to meet public servants who are impassioned about what they do.
Absolutely, yes.
She does have a lot of experience as well, which is
Mhm.
even the
Helpful.
few weeks that she's been in as mayor pro tem says a lot. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Great. So let's go ahead and get into some of these hot topics.
Truth, lies, shenanigans.
Hi, Johnny. So we just finished talking about healing from an alleged child pornographer, but you wanted to talk about another alleged child pornographer. So tell us more.
We're going to just rip that Band-Aid right on up again.
There we go.
There's some salt.
Guys, exactly. So here's another crazy story for you. A former Planned Parenthood exec took his own life 5 days after police failed to arrest him on child porn charges. So this guy, his name is Tim Yergo. He worked in the marketing side of Planned Parenthood in the southern New England area. Apparently, he was under investigation for child porn, but when police showed up to bust him, they accidentally raided his neighbor's house instead. I know. I don't know how they messed that one up. The neighbor, it's crazy. The neighbor, Stacy Wesenter, said she was traumatized when officers broke down her door, of course. When they started to arrest her, they asked, "Where's Tim?" And she replied, "Tim's my neighbor." So that only then is when the police actually realized that they were in the wrong house. So all around, this is an intense story, but I do have a few questions for you guys. My first question is, what are the consequences the neighbor receives for being wrongly targeted by the police? And should she get something for this? Like, should she get something for being mistakenly raided? And second, do you consider Tim taking his life during the investigation and raid? Do you think that was a coward move, or do you think that there's more to the story?
Okay, she wasn't wrongly targeted. It was a logistical error. They went to the door. It's upstairs or downstairs, so they got that mixed up.
Okay.
So, and my understanding is the officers of the Special Victims Unit were very apologetic and courteous to her once they realized their mistake. So,
Yeah.
it's a sweet thing to do after you've given someone PTSD. But that being said, I'm okay with the end result with the neighbor. I'm quite all right with the child pornographer taking his life. In the end, the settlement to pay out someone's PTSD for Stacy in this instance will be considerably less than the cost of rehabilitating a child pornographer. So maybe we should bust down more neighbor doors if we're thinking in a practical fiscal sense. I have very little compassion or mercy when it comes to child pornography and those who engage in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No
especially
passion.
what we've had to
Right.
deal with recently. So,
Yeah.
so as far as going to the wrong place, we've seen this like way too much, in my opinion. Usually it's like, usually we're looking at it as a black man, a black man getting shot and killed, because that's what's been happening, right? Fortunately, this time it was a white woman and she didn't get killed, but the PTSD, I guess I would be dealing with PTSD too, obviously, but yeah, it sucks that they make these mistakes way too often. Should she get anything for it? I don't know. I mean, something. Definitely apology, which she got, but
Definitely a new front door at the very least.
I mean, maybe a small pittance of something, maybe like a $10,000 saying sorry, apologies for that. I don't know, something. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But she wasn't like assaulted. She wasn't, killed. That she didn't have any horrible thing happen to her. As Rob said, they were pretty apologetic. So I don't know. I don't know about that one. But
I would be. You made a mistake. Of course, you should be apologizing. But
as far as your other question about the suicide, did he take the coward road out? Now, I'm thinking back to our earlier conversation about Putin, and that I need to be consistent in how I would want to treat people, and so anyone who commits suicide, I wouldn't want to highlight that or celebrate
Courage.
that or anything like that. I certainly wouldn't want to celebrate it but my initial thoughts were like, whatever. Um, with that being said, it's really hard when you're dealing with someone who's,
Disgusting.
yeah, well, not even disgusting, just into this child pornography. It bothers me a lot in general when children are abused, but then someone who's using that to get off on it, or who loves it, who likes it, who sees a child getting abused and that's okay to them. I don't like that person
No.
at all. And so
Not
do I wish suicide on them? No. Do I wish pain on them? Yes. I'm one of those people. I'm all for corporal punishment coming back for something like child abuse.
when
You know,
Lizzie.
Caning people for stuff like that, because I don't even think going to jail is enough. Or
When you're
life.
broken and you prey upon the weak and the vulnerable in your society, we are the only
Innocent.
animal that turns around and does either turns a blind eye or punishes. In the animal kingdom, the punishment
killed.
is death. You're either cast out of the group, which is essentially a death sentence, or you are killed because you're not right. You don't belong. I'm sorry. There are some things that I feel we should revert back to some very primal ways, because we
I'm with
need to remove that element from the gene pool. It's awful. It's awful.
And I mean, that's an interesting thing I know, Gianni, you had something you wanted to say, but and but I like the thing you said about removing them from the gene pool, because I think there's a value to that. It's like when the reason we have domesticated dogs is because what they did is they bred out the aggressiveness from the dogs. So there are much less aggressive, from wolves. So there's much less
Right.
aggression in dogs. And so it's not like it can't be done. But when we have these evil people in our communities living long lives and then, reproducing, then it just continues the cycle. So I'm with you. I'm not
I
mad that he's no longer with us.
Mhm.
I feel naturally how you guys feel. I like to kind of get to the root of things, because if something keeps happening, there's a reason. So I mean, we're not gonna get in our, maybe my lifetime, I'm not sure, but we're not gonna get to the point of why do child molesters or what is this, like a,
Pornographers.
yeah, like a pedophile, like why, how do they exist, why, what is the functioning of that disorder or whatever that is, spirit, I don't know, because it's, I think when you get to the root, it's in a sense we're doing what Rob B is recommending, like killing off that person, but we're doing it in a human way, as opposed to like the animal kingdom where we're literally shredding his neck and killing him. Instead of that, we're killing that practice, or we're killing that behavior. And that's, I feel like the way you do that is you get into it, you understand it, you shine light on it, you don't make it a good thing. How I know that there's like, I don't want to speak out of turn, but I know that there is the P in LGBTQ. It stands for like people who are into relationships of different ages. I'm not sure. That's why I said I don't want to speak out of.
Mm,
It's
no,
like
yeah,
people are,
don't. Yeah.
I don't think
yes,
so.
people are speaking out of. People are speaking out of. I mean, I'm sorry. People are just kind of like accepting what this is, as opposed to us trying to understand it.
No,
Understand
that
what it is.
I don't buy the
you
mental
need to
health
at least
issue.
no. You need to, if you're talking about it from that perspective, you would need to chemically neuter or castrate these people to completely remove their sex drive, because their sex drive is broken. Um,
I don't buy the
there's
mental
sudden
health
death.
thing though,
Yeah.
because so I was watching this episode of Law and Order, and it was an episode where uh, a woman was being manipulated by some guy to perform to get women for him to have sex with, young women for him to have sex with, and so the woman was the one on trial, and um, so one of the attorneys were like, well, she was angry with her and she's like, put her in jail, put her in jail. The other attorney was like, I don't know, we didn't do the right thing because she was manipulated. And so she's like, look, if everybody who was manipulated, who everyone who had some disorder was, let to be free, then you'd have to release everybody from jail because the problem is we have a lot of people with disorders, problems, issues, but we can't just let them run free. We can't. So, do they need to be in jail? Do they need to be removed from the gene pool? Especially when it comes to children, I'm like, peace.
Yep.
Understood. I'm not mad at it either way. Just
It's
saying,
really a shame, like I told you guys, I'm writing a book and looking back at like biblical times. And in biblical times, it was normal to have children for wives, women, 12-year-olds. I was reading literally from the Bible, like the potential ages of like Mary when she married Joseph. She was probably most likely around 12 years old when she married Joseph. And Joseph was an older man who potentially, this is not the Bible. There's some other non-canonical text that says that, gives a little more detail, but that's a whole different story. All I'm saying is there was a time not long ago where 12-year-olds were considered normal to have as, wives.
And you have some great God-fearing states that are trying to bring it back 1 year at a time.
Gracious.
Oh.
Yeah, there was that one, I think he was in Minnesota or something. Yeah. Anyway. All right. So let's go to the online comments. Jose says, I don't wish harm on anyone. However, someone like this, do they deserve what they get? I say yes. When it comes to children, no excuses, none. Tracy Gore says, abuse of any kind and child pornography as abuse needs to be obliterated. That's because an elderly person was 45. Oh. All right. Is this truth, lies, or shenanigans?
I don't know. I think this is truth.
That's some truth.
Yeah, truth. Yeah, it was considering we just had Mayor Patrick for the same thing. Yeah, I'm not feeling it. All right. Looks like Robbie, you're up next. You've got some workers striking in Canada. What's up?
Yeah, the Public Service Alliance of Canada, the PSAC, is on strike since Wednesday, April 19th, as they negotiate a new collective agreement with the federal government of Canada. The PSAC workers, including those in border services and immigration, passport officers, pay and compensation specialists, environmental scientists, are seeking wage increases that keep pace with the cost of living, improve job security, better benefits for workers. And the union has stated that it wants to ensure that workers are treated fairly and that their contributions to Canadian society are recognized through a new collective agreement that addresses these concerns. Now, negotiations have been ongoing since late 2021, but the two sides haven't been able to come to an agreement on what constitutes a fair deal. So the strike is causing delays and disruptions in services across the country, and the union has warned that it may escalate if a deal is not reached soon. So I guess I'm going to put it to you guys this way. What effects could a PSAC strike have on Canadian culture, specifically in terms of negotiations for salary increases after years of not receiving cost of living adjustments, and flexible work arrangements for employees in all sectors?
All right, let's start with Gianni.
I think, the downside is that the government functionings, if they don't reach an agreement like they haven't been, you see this type of scenario, so the government not functioning properly and citizens of Canada that are not directly affected are somehow being affected now. But the sacrifice and the end game as to what they're doing is so much sweeter. If the PSAC can actually, like I said, reach an agreement with the government, the benefits are for everybody there. So the wage, cost of living is easier to deal with. because I know that North America in general is inflated, like with prices. But I think that it's unnatural to even have to bargain and fight your living wages. We all know that it's survival. Like, if I can't survive, how can I even give you the money that you're asking for? So it's I'm for the protest. I'm not upset at it. I know that it is a little bit of a sacrifice for some of the Canadian citizens, especially if they're not in agreement with the protests. But I think that this is great. This is a great thing. You guys are going to be able to get paid more. You're going to be able to afford where you're living. People that are in like more unfortunate situations than even, well, Rob's in a good situation, but people in less fortunate situations are going to actually, if this pans out correctly, are going to have a value of life, a quality of life that's worth it. 10 out of 10.
I gotta admit, I was a little confused by what the workers are asking for exactly, because they seem to be asking for a lot to me. I don't know. They asked for a 22% raise over 3 years. I get it. I mean, if you need a raise, but 22% seems like a significant amount, um, especially considering inflation's what I think the highest inflation rate was 8% last year, and it's usually around 3 or 4%. So 20, it's a huge jump. I get if they're underpaid. I don't really know how the pay works in Canada. So
It's not so much a matter of being underpaid, it's a matter of the number wasn't chosen arbitrarily. It's to reflect the fact that there have been wage freezes for years
oh, it's
where
been
provincial and federal workers, municipal workers have taken zeros, have taken 1%. So
Ah,
the cost of living has jumped significantly in the
worse
last
since
few years. And when you are dealing with zeros and ones, you're not keeping up. You are falling behind. So that 22% is actually kind of low when you start factoring in
the
all of
freezes.
the other factors. Exactly. It's how you value the work that these people are being done. It's how you value the people that are doing this work, because at the end of the day, they are contributing essential services to Canadians, and if they themselves are having a hard time making ends meet, that says a lot.
So what is this stuff about the additional paid leave for self-identified Indigenous employees? I mean, wouldn't everybody
um,
just self-identify? And then there's another $1,500 pay jump they're requesting if you speak certain languages, like certain Indigenous languages. So, can you help me understand that? I mean, that doesn't
it's
make
Those are
sense.
particulars that no, I can't help you with. But I do see that Tracy Gore is part of our online audience. So if she has some insight into that, I would
Yeah, she
really
says, I
appreciate it.
see on the line, she says, I'm on the picket line. Our
Yes, she
negotiations
is.
will trickle down. Not to mention, Parliament has given themselves a nice raise annually. Now, I'm just,
That's part of the issue too, that when you have higher ranking members of parliament, executives receiving bonuses and cost of living adjustments, while the front line isn't, that's an equity thing.
our federal government, we have grade scales, right? So basically, there's a range that you are paid depending on what grade you fall in under. And does that your government work like that? Because when we talk fairness and equity, it doesn't. For me, it doesn't make sense to pay someone based upon pay them a particular number or salary or bonus based upon their the fact that they're indigenous, not indigenous, white, whatever. That doesn't make sense to me. But it would make sense to me if we were finding that indigenous people, let's say there was a certain pay scale, like between 60,000 and 70,000, right? You set that pay scale for whatever the job is, IT worker, or maybe it's maintenance worker, whatever it is, and it 60 to $70,000 range, and then you find all the indigenous people at like 40, then you should be jumping them up to 60, because you just want them in equity. But just giving them bonuses and money or a certain number based upon their ethnic background doesn't sound like inclusion. It sounds like more exclusivity, actually. I'm just curious, what are your thoughts?
maybe there
Well,
is like uh oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Rob.
go ahead, Johnny. Go ahead.
I was just gonna
Oh,
tune in and say maybe there is a reason for the indigenous to receive it. I don't. I think that the reason they worked themselves into that deal is because maybe there is like a level of unfairness with their wages or cost of living. That's
Oh, okay. I
kind
think I
of
got an answer from Tracy Gore.
There, it does provide a higher level of equity when it comes to the delivery of services because we have two national languages in Canada, French and English, but many constituents who rely upon these services speak Indigenous dialects. So if you have those Indigenous dialects within your workforce, then they can help deliver services in a much better fashion. So why not be bonusable when you can better serve segments that need those services?
Well, okay, so
it's a
so
skill.
Tracy kind of explained the equity part. So currently, you all get bonuses, she says, based upon right now, you get language bonuses. Right now, she says it's for French or English. So, yeah, then of course it makes sense if those bonuses exist for French and English, you should absolutely make bonuses for people with other indigenous languages. And these are some of the nuances that I think, we in
Mhm.
America probably would not have understood. Um,
Yeah.
Tracy Gore, she says we also have many indigenous communities where their language is essential. And Jose says we owe it to the indigenous to teach, conserve their languages. Okay, that starts to make a little more sense to me.
Yeah.
All right, any
And
last
then
thoughts,
if
Robbie? Oh, good, Gianni.
I keep interrupting, but if this happens, then it could have other people do the same. Like people who are not government workers, maybe bigger commercial like organizations and companies could match that energy, so to speak, and give
Yeah,
wage.
because that's it. Whatever these labor movements are extremely important, and these negotiations will have a ripple effect across Canada. In 1981, the postal workers helped enshrine a 17-week paid maternity leave at 93%, and before it was 15 weeks at 66%. So as a result, Canadian mothers were provided with the 17 to 18 weeks, and it was a job protected maternity leave where a lot of employers had to legally bring back the pre-childbirth jobs to the mothers. So
Nice.
the right to a safe place, the right to overtime pay, paid holidays, minimum wage, family and medical leaves. These all are rights that we have because of labor movements. Not to mention Labor Day. We all get that long weekend. Thank you, labor movements.
I will say one of their big things was fair remote working policies.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
we really are getting
Absolutely.
spoiled with remote work. I'm spoiled, so I can't
Yeah.
complain. But because I don't know if I'd take a job these days without remote work, but whatever.
It's different.
Absolutely, because you can have qualified people that live in completely remote areas. During the pandemic, the federal government hired people in all kinds of communities. And now that they're asking people to come back to regional offices, some of these commutes are hundreds of kilometers, and it's not reasonable to ask someone to come into the office
All right.
because it wasn't a requirement when they hired them.
All right, we're over in
Yep.
time. Yeah. So
Yeah.
last comment from Tracy Gore. Now maternity and parental leave is up to 18 months. Is this truth? Lies, shenanigans.
This is some true.
Truth.
This
Good
is some
stuff.
truth, and give them hell. Give them hell.
We're gonna go ahead and do our last topic, but make your answers really, really quick.
Truth, lies,
Okay.
shenanigans.
All right. So the first launch attempt. So we have Elon Musk and his. All right, I'm having trouble here. All right, Elon Musk and his SpaceX Starship. The first launch attempt was scrubbed on Monday due to a frozen valve, and about 3 minutes after the Starship rocket launched on Thursday morning, the boosters failed to separate. It veered off course, and it was forced to self-destruct. Everybody's watching this, and it just explodes. So my question is really simple. Would you go into space in a SpaceX Starship given the risks?
Here's some
hell
truth,
no.
brother. When I was with my ex-wife, I dreamed of being one of the first humans on Mars, fully recognizing that it was a one-way trip. At this point,
What?
no, absolutely not. My life here is amazing. I have no ambition to colonize the cosmos.
Johnny.
Same. For different reasons, because I think it's too risky. But like Rob, I always thought it was cool to do space travel or even Like, everybody wants to go to the moon. That's so cool. But not trusting Elon Flux. No, I'm kidding.
Elon.
But not.
My wife won't let me go, but I'm gonna find a way to go out in space at some point in my life because I
I
need
can see
to.
it
I need to leave the planet for a minute just to see what's out
for a minute, and then tell
Mm.
us how it.
Truth, lies, shenanigans.
there. All right, this is Truth Lies Shenanigans.
This is kind of shenanigan-y to me. Is it?
Eh, I don't know. Well, you know, the only shenanigans I'm seeing is that they keep talking about it was a good thing. I was like,
I know.
you know,
We learn from our mistakes. We learn from our mistakes. That's an engineering axiom. It's what we've always done as a species. So we're going
Whatever
to
you
find the
say,
failures.
Robbie.
We're going to make it better.
whatever say, they're just that's media.
It'll
They're just Elon Musk trying to
It's
make
just-
himself feel good. All right, let's get to our game show. All right, guys, we're only gonna do a couple of rounds because of time. But it's gonna be
All right.
Gianni versus Robbie. Today's game is everyone's favorite 7-second challenge. We'll spin the wheel and you'll be provided a challenge. You have 7 seconds to complete the challenge. If you do it successfully, you get a point. If you don't, you get nothing. Person with the most points wins the game and the final thought for the show. All right. Let's spin the wheel. We're going to start with Gianni.
Ladies first.
Pick a player. I guess it's only Rob, but you can pick me too. Pick a player and sing a song
There's
about them.
context.
Oh, okay, a song.
You got 7
I'm
seconds. Ready? Go.
Neil the astronaut wants to go up to the moon.
Oh my goodness. I don't know.
No, that's not good.
I don't know.
Oh.
Answer.
Give me that one. Okay. Yeah, you tried. You took you a little more than 7 seconds. So.
Like a lullaby.
All right. I'm not giving you that point. All
Time
right.
of night.
Robbie, let's go. Let's see what you got. I'm doing this. When you did this one before, I'm gonna do this on a different one. Sorry. I did this one before too.
About disappointing ice cream? Oh.
I'm gonna have to delete those. Say 5 different Spanish names.
All right. Maria, Miguel, Juan, Sofia, Lorenzo.
Lorenzo.
Okay.
Lorenzo. Wait. Lorenzo, you better give another one because I don't think that's Spanish. Is it Spanish?
Lorenzo. That's South American,
Okay.
for sure.
All right, Lorenzo. All right, good job, Robbie.
Okay, Antonio.
I was like, really? Come on. You missed the obvious one.
Roberto. Ah.
I thought Lorenzo was Italian. All right, let's go. All right, Gianni.
Okay. I can see that being Italian.
All right, Gianni. Let's go. Next one is 5 countries in Europe. Name 5
Oh, I'm
countries
done.
in Europe. 7 seconds. Go.
France, Belgium.
No.
Answer.
And only because I wanted Robbie to do one
Australia
more.
is a continent.
Only because I want
go.
Robbie to do one more. We're doing one more. Let's go, Robbie. Recite a poem about yourself.
That's
An
so bad.
ode to me, oh, how can this be? My favorite topic of all, because I'm neither great nor small. It is a wonderful evening for me to win. I can't wait to share my final thought with you. Squeedity weep, squeedity doo. Gonna finish it off with some sketch.
All right, Robbie won that game for sure.
It cheats.
Cheat. All right, Johnny.
Shout out to you guys and shout out to Earth Day. I feel like every day is Earth Day. Go hug a tree. It helps you breathe better. And plant seeds this year. I think that it's a time to like grow food. So start growing your own food. Get into it. And even if
Love
you're
it.
growing from your own home, like you don't have to have a garden and a suite. backyard like Rob or Neo. You can have like me, a humble little urban farming situation.
I like that. All
Love
right,
it.
Robbie.
Shout out to the Bruins for taking a 3-1 lead in their series just moments before the show with a nice 6-2 win over the Florida Panthers. But like Johnny said, shout out to Earth Day. Earth Day is a precious reminder that the planet is the one that we've got, and we should make every day Earth Day.
Yeah, I like that.
Yes.
And my shout out is to our co-host Liz E. We're missing Lizzie so much. She is dealing with a medical issue, and hopefully we can have her back soon. So, but we are missing you, Liz.
Love
All
you, Liz.
right.
Miss you.
Yeah, we do miss you. All right, so
Miss you,
that
Liz.
is officially all the time we have for today's show. I'd like to thank you all for joining us. We hope you learned something, gained a new perspective, had some laughs with us. Now, we will be back recording our podcast live next week as usual, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And don't forget to check out our video clips, like our interviews with council members Kate Kennedy and Fazul Kabir, who are also running for mayor of College Park against today's guest, Denise Mitchell. Subscribe to us on YouTube using TLSShow.com and look for our official audio podcast episodes on Tuesdays on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. And our winner for the final thought of the day, Robbie Rock. Close us out.
Easy.
So when I step out into the bush to check on my maple syrup collectors, I am reminded of Jack Handy's following saying: if trees could scream, would we be so cavalier about cutting them down? We might, if they screamed all the time for no good reason.
Oh, goodness. All right. Thank you, Robbie Rock. Gianni, thank you to our guest, Denise Mitchell. But most importantly, we need to thank you for listening to our shenanigans each and every week. Have a great week, everyone. See you next Sunday.